If you like fantasy football, you need to be playing on Underdog Fantasy. It's my favorite new fantasy football app. The website and app are super slick and by far the best experience out there to do snake draft games for real money every week. You draft a new team every week and you get a shot at big prizes. There's no lineup setting, waiver wire, or bad trades to deal with. The team that built the app is top-notch and the customer support is the best in the game. They're constantly updating and adding new features. Look up Underdog Fantasy on your app store or go to UnderdogFantasy.com to play today. Make your first deposit today and be sure to use my code PFF after you do to let them know I sent you. Let's get into the big games this weekend, starting with the New England Patriots at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 7 in this one. This is really uncharted territory for the New England Patriots over the last 20 years. You just don't see them as, touchdown underdogs. Obviously, it's a new world there with Cam Newton at quarterback, with some defensive players opting out this year, and Kansas City, who went they weren't sleepwalking through the first 2 games, but they're off. It was like, man, there's something more to this offense. Well, they unleashed all of it on Monday night, which was mostly just Patrick Mahomes playing out of his mind. So Kansas City by 7 here.
Last week would have broken New England's streak, right, of the absurd number of games consecutively that they've been favored by.
Yeah, I think since
on the road
since
to
maybe
Seattle.
2015 or
right.
so. Yeah.
So that would have been the first one, but this must be the most they've been underdogs since God knows when. I understand why. I mean, having just seen what Kansas City did to Baltimore, who I couldn't have got that game more wrong, by the way, in our predictions.
Same. I convinced myself that the Ravens were built to stop them.
And I think fundamentally they might be, but you can't go down, right? What they saw, the Ravens had one drive in that game, essentially from a position of power, and it was the first one, right? Opening drive, 0-0. They drive the length of the field and stall on the 8-yard line, right? 4th and 3 from the 8, and they kick the field goal instead of going for the touchdown. Kansas City immediately answers with a touchdown. Your next drive, they had the tripping call, remember?
Yeah.
Bullshit tripping call, which put them at whatever it was, 1st and 20. Suddenly you're in a hole. And from that point on, they chase the whole game, and they can't play like that.
You should honestly just keep your kicker. Make your kicker inactive against the Chiefs.
And they're in a tough spot, the Ravens, because their kicker is the most accurate kicker ever, right? So they have an even
It's a guaranteed 3 against
it's
the
an
potential
even bigger
for 7.
incentive to take the kick. But that little sequence showed you why you have to be aggressive because particularly the Ravens, right? I think they fundamentally are built well to stop the Chiefs, but you have to play from the position of power.
Do you understand what you're saying, though? Do you understand why your strategy is very difficult?
Every strategy is difficult. The Chiefs are better than you.
But what you're saying is, if everything goes right, I mean,
I'm not saying everything. I'm saying you just can't let them jump out to a lead and put you in a position of chasing
no
the
kidding.
game.
But this is the same thing that I always joke about with Pete Carroll a couple years ago when he had the one game where they ran the ball 42 times and threw it 17. If you're chasing that game all the time and something goes wrong along the way, you're in trouble. You have to do whatever you can to maximize points against the Chiefs.
Yeah, but
points over possessions and time of possession.
My point is that the Ravens' standard game plan works. It's just that when you go down by double digits, you have to toss that out the window, and your backup plan doesn't work against them. So Baltimore threw away a chance to stay with the plan A for a longer period of time by kicking that field goal.
Yeah.
Then you're down immediately. Then you're in a hole because of the tripping penalty, and now the game is over. If they'd at least gone for it on 4th and 3, now already they would have had to gone for it and get it. But if you'd gone for it and got it, you could have put yourself up by a touchdown. Chiefs answer with a touchdown. You're still back to square one. You can run that game plan again, and everything's good. The New England game, though, is interesting because it's Belichick, right? And if anybody is going to come up with anything to knock the Chiefs off their game, it's going to be Belichick. They're going to figure out something to take away some element, at least force Kansas City to plan B, right? The Ravens, they ran what they run on defense, and the Chiefs just had the answers. It was like they knew what was coming literally every single play, and they just put the ball in the gap that you left by doing what you do. The Patriots will at least force Kansas City to win in a different way, and that's probably all you can ask for. I don't know how I don't think you can stop them, but at the very minimum, if you force them to plan B. By the way, did you see the funniest thing I think I've ever seen in my life was Belichick doubling Derek Carr's check down?
Yes.
Almost causing his brain to explode. That's the level he's willing to go to, right?
Take away your
Nobody
comfort
has
level.
ever done that in the history of humanity before, and Belichick double-teamed a check down because he knew that's what he was going to do. That's what they're going to do to Mahomes.
That's what I want to see, obviously, is it's Belichick, Mahomes 4. The Patriots have won 2 out of the 3. I think people might forget that. 2 out of 3 matchups, New England against Mahomes. New England beat them both times in 2018. Kansas City won last year down the stretch in a game that was very close. And we're talking about N'Keal Harry touchdown that was negated, that probably should have been. It was a really close game. The Patriots have done a pretty good job against Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback. And I wrote about this week. I just want to separate this really quick. Patrick Mahomes is incredible. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. But we always talk about the scheme and the system and all these other things. I just want to quantify that for a second because the floor for Kansas City's offense is so high. I looked at and this was spurred from Lamar Jackson the other night. Lamar Jackson's last 2 passing grades are like 64 and 61 with radically different outcomes, right? And it's just the classic PFF grade separates the quarterback from production. Patrick Mahomes has 12 career games where his passing grade is under 70. It's not, it's average or below average, essentially. In those games, 12 games, 27 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 7.9 yards per attempt, and a passer rating of 95.1. So when Mahomes is not on his game, he's still one of the most productive quarterbacks in the NFL. He would still have 35 touchdowns a year and still have, 8 yards per attempt and a 95 passer rating. That is the Tyreek Hill factor, the Travis Kelce factor, the Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy factor. That is all of that stuff. Belichick has done a nice job of making Mahomes miss throws, making things a little bit difficult, making them challenging throws, but it's still the Chiefs keep putting up points against New England too. And
Belichick can turn Patrick Mahomes into a normal quarterback, which just leaves all of the other strengths in the Kansas City offense.
Right, because while they were doing that, they were leaving wide open screen passes or other stuff where the scheme stuff picks up for maybe where Mahomes wasn't. Then you have Monday night where Mahomes is just out of this world. He should have had an extra touchdown. He put one on Mecole Hardman's hands on a deep post, and just his ability, he does stuff that quarterbacks aren't supposed to do, as in you're supposed to drop to 9 yards and he drops to 15, knowing that he's just buying himself some time to hit the open. He just does stuff that guys don't do. So tough to defend. Your only hope, I think, is hoping that he misses some of those throws and that also the rest of the Chiefs have a bad game. You're not just rooting for the quarterback to have a bad game. You need the play calling to be off, and you need to, make a few good decisions.
I'm also intrigued to see what they do on the other side of the ball. The Patriots, this is, because again, they have the ability to run that Baltimore game plan.
This is your theory tested again. Yes.
And if nothing, whether it works or not, the first question is going to be, do they even try it, right? Because so far we've seen games where they run this run-heavy Cam Newton offense, and then we've seen games where they pass the ball way more, right? So which are they going to go for? Are they going to try and run that Baltimore style of offense where they say, right, step one in defeating the Chiefs is ensure that we have 10-minute drives every time we have the football, right? So that the Chiefs don't. So just try and keep the ball away from them, and then we'll do whatever we do on defense to try and slow them down.
Here's what I think. When the Patriots beat the Chiefs in the 2018 AFC Championship, their first drive was run. It was very run-heavy with a couple short passes in there. I do think, and the Chiefs' defense has been really good at limiting just passes beyond the sticks, explosive plays. They've been really good in that area. I do think the Patriots come out and you see an extreme use of the play clock, and an extreme attempt to control the game and limit possessions. The thing is, it has to be extreme. You have to go so slow and be so efficient moving the ball that it might cost the Chiefs 2 possessions. Because if you're really good at it, you might lose 1 possession for the other team, which isn't a massive difference. You still have to stop them 10 times. They might do it at an extreme level. Cam Newton running every 3rd and 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think, as much as we feel like we're really smart and we say the best defense is an offense and score points and all that stuff, I do think Belichick does believe in this ball control, run game thing in a situation like this, and I think we see it at an extreme level.
I think Lamar Jackson is this, and Cam Newton is this. They are unique weapons that change the dynamic of that offense, right?
Yeah.
You can't just have, like, Tennessee's offense can't do this, right? You can't just go, we're going to establish Derrick Henry down your throats, and that's how we're going to control the clock.
Right.
Lamar Jackson and Cam Newton add an element that is difficult to defend to that enable you to be able to do that, right? Because, as you say, whenever you get to 3rd and 3, Cam Newton is coming at you, right? How are you stopping that? Because it's not easy. So that, I think, is how you can actually run this offense. And I know it didn't work last week, but I think so much of that was because the first 10 minutes it disappeared, right?
I think they're going to try it. I think we're going to get your theory tested, and it's not even that your theory's tested. It's just this is the strategy, and if it works, you have a shot. If it doesn't work, you might lose by a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that last scenario is there whatever you do, right? Like, no matter what you do, you're running up against the Chiefs that right now are unstoppable.
Yeah.
So the prospect of getting your ass kicked is there almost no matter what you do. You try and hang with them from a scoring punch-counterpunch situation, you're going to get your ass kicked. If you try and keep them off the field and you blow 2 drives, you're going to get, like, there are many scenarios by which you get your ass kicked, which is why the Chiefs are 7-point favorites.
The fact that Mecole Hardman has, the first 2 weeks Mahomes was rarely throwing the ball deep, and then you have Hardman in his 4-3 speed getting behind the defense. I don't know how you cover all that. I don't know how you cover Tyreek and Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins for whatever he's worth, and Hardman.
You honestly can't. You have to figure out what the thing they want to go to the least is. Make them go to that, and then hope that that's not good enough a connection to win.
There's talk about your guy, Kyle Duggar, being one-on-one with Travis Kelce, perhaps. Yeah. And I'll be intrigued, too, because the Patriots have a few new weapons on defense, like a Duggar that's flown around making a ton of plays so far this year. See how they get deployed. So anytime you get Belichick against a good quarterback, it's a fun game to watch. And yeah, I think if the Chiefs win this, you start to get into this. Are they going to go 16-0? Who's going to stop them? Who's going to slow them down, right?
That was a preseason thing, right? There were people saying the Chiefs were going to go 16-0.
Yeah.
I thought the Ravens had a better shot at doing it than the Chiefs, but apparently I hadn't considered that they had to play the Chiefs.
Yeah, your bold picks aren't looking good so far.
Some of them are. We were talking about this with Robert Mays on his podcast. Like, it was a sort of, what were the things you would tell yourself now in August before you did your picks?
3 weeks ago.
Right. And one of them was, well, I would have loved to have known that Seattle would actually let Russ cook, Yeah. But I picked Seattle to win the division anyway. Like, that pick is actually looking quite good.
You would have chosen not to upset Bills Mafia.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
All right. So, Kansas City by 7. I think they cover it at home. Not that home matters.
The prospect of betting against a Bill Belichick coach team to the tune of 7
and a touchdown
is crazy to me. I understand why, but I'm not doing it.
I will say we've seen 3 different Cam Newtons in 3 weeks. We saw efficient, hits what's there guy in week 1. We saw a big play guy, like unbelievable. Dude, are you going to tear up the league if you keep throwing like this guy? And then we saw bad Cam Newton last week. 3 different Cam Newtons. I think this game probably depends on how much they ask of him and which one of those 3 shows up. If it's week 2, I'm going to play in a shootout with Russ, Cam Newton, then we've got a pretty good ball game. But I like Kansas City.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.